So my goal here today is to share with you what I have been working with many people and in different contexts over somewhere between 1 year, 10 years, and the whole of my life, depending on how you frame it. And it's this idea of how do we get people to collaborate and co-create together more effectively. And what does more effectively even mean? So today I want to share with you four things. One is this idea of the coherence journey that we've been working on, of trying to create a framework and a language for how fields come together to build islands of coherence for people to find each other and work together. If for those of you who know me from The Gathering, that's exactly what The Gathering is all about. So my experience with organizing The Gathering very much informs that, but there was a really powerful group that came together to work on that idea. So it's not just my ideas, it's many people ideas coming together. So this coherence journey, have a general conversation overview of why I think AI is interesting in ways that most people are not talking about. Then talk about the Coherence Company, which is the startup that we are starting to start up. And it's an invitation to come and play and participate and see if we can build something together. And also an invitation to community of practice around this coherence journey idea. Because I think creating a shared vocabulary and conversation between network weavers, ecosystem builders, and all of those people working to bring groups of people together into collaboration is important. And completely separately from this company, I think it's a field that's really important to develop. Make sense? More or less, that's what you came here for, I hope. So, let me start at the higher level, the big level of opportunities and challenges. I think, or I imagine that we are all here because we are coming from some kind of a shared field of status quo is not working, da 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 da. So I'm not going to go into any of that. I just assume that everybody has heard of poly crisis, meta crisis, meaning crisis, all of these crises that are around. If you haven't Googled any of those, and you'll spend the next few years in very interesting learning. And there's many parts to why we are in this situation, but I think a key part of it, and again, it's not the only thing. There is so many different parts that come together, but sense making, one reason why we are where we're at is that we need sense making at a scale and a level of complexity that this species has never achieved before. So it's interesting to look at the development of how humans work together as building bigger and bigger and more complex organizations and structures. Tribes, cities, countries, and all of this. This is all structures of bigger and bigger complexity. Nation state, for all of its flaws, is a much more complex structure than a kingdom was. And now we have 8 billion people and all of the other complexities, externalities, donuts, and all of this. And we need sense making at a really scale that's not possible using the standard structures of top-down information flow and so on and so forth. At the same time, we have this whole AI explosion So it's a really incredible time because AI, I believe, brings in this capability to sense make at a scale which was unimaginable before. It has limits, but still it can read and synthesize across thousands of books, millions of voices. So I think it's a really incredible opportunity. Again, I'm not claiming that this is the only thing to solve all of humanity's problems, but this is the part of the equation that I'm excited to apply myself to. So that's the framing, right? And this question for me, and I think it's become quite clear that algorithms have a huge impact on society. From social media, we wanted to sell more ads. Oops, we broke democracy. Sorry. Or maybe not even sorry. To all of the other things that we see in society. And AI is going to be I mean, social media already is AI. It's all learning algorithm. But AI, as we are seeing it now, is going to have an even bigger impact on society. So this question of how do we nurture AI is hugely, hugely important. And for me, I really see this hope of humans and AI being wiser together, which means we need to train the AI to train us to be wiser and to build a wiser society. And the last idea that I wanted to throw in there is I really see most of the current conversation around AI is focused on individual augmentation, how to help you write code, write text, make videos, or maybe replacing people at best. But the interesting thing about humans is how we work in groups. So what I'm interested in, and this whole inquiry that we're here on, is how do we build AI that helps us function better and work better as groups, teams, organizations, but also ecosystems of collaboration, networks, and so on and so forth. So that's my framing. And yeah, maybe let's do a round of saying hello. And if everybody could say a few words of how do you connect with these topics? And if you're working on them in any way, what way are you working on them? And just for quickness of execution, I will just call people out from the top if that's okay. Fernando.
Okay, hello. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, I'm not working on it directly. There was a background sound suddenly. I think Thomas had music. Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I work in groups a lot, and I normally bring like facilitation skills and knowledge and wisdom. And I use AI tools more like to get meetings or stuff like this, but not like to coordinate. So yeah, I'm not working actively on developing this, but it would be nice to have tools that support us in that. And at the same time, I know that a lot of the challenges are just human and soft skills, and AI won't be able, in my opinion, to replace this knowledge, although it can support us for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Alejandra.
Hi, everyone. I'm working in groups. Yeah, kind of. I'm organizing the gather in Mexico. So that on itself required a sense making of the core team, how to build a team, how to decide our internal structure, how are we going to work together. So yeah, that's been a very experimental process. And I experience also this this question every time I go to an event and I meet someone super interesting and say, ah, we have things in common, let's build something together. And then how do we actually move forward? I think coordination takes a lot of time that maybe can be, I don't know, automated or at least have a blueprint of steps or something, because we have a lot of ideas and then we spend a lot of time like just sending messages or trying to agree on stuff. Or yeah, I think we can make it much better.
Yeah. Justina?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, from my side, I would say I'm working not directly on this topic as well, but a lot with the communities and different scales, from hubs and like groups to residencies when the people gather in one place for a short amount of time, as well through facilitation. And from the coordination side, like I use AI, like we use AI more for like capturing. Let's say at this moment is more like capturing and aggregating. Let's say like the meeting notes, as insights and so on, and just a bit of a help, but less on coordination level. But been exploring quite some time, like what could be the ways how this coordination could be established, especially when there is a lot of actors, and how the actions could be made instead of like, or I wouldn't say replacing the meetings, but at least like being very clear of like what are the next steps. Because as Alejandra mentioned about, it's like when you meet someone and you say, oh, let's do something together, but from there, like it's usually comes to this like, okay, let's meet, let's talk, what could be potential steps. But it would be interesting to explore like what could be like ways or like almost like prompts for humans that AI could support humans on like really moving forward with the ideas, and it's like, okay, these are the next steps. That's how we can start at least to prepare for this meeting in the first place. Because now I feel that like you gather first, like you find the time and then you gather, and then yeah, it's a lot of this little bit messy process, which is beautiful because it's very human process. But it would be nice to explore like how it could be aided and this either an individual like one-to-one level as well in the group setting too.
Yeah, yeah. So we have some people of video. Tamas, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I'm driving right now, and I just realized that I forgot to mute.
Drive safe.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, for me, I work both with individuals and with groups. On individual level, I work with creating the inner capacity to be able to sort of like collaborate better in uncertainty and emergent times. And then on group level, I do different things, as like working with a big pool fund from Europe that supports a lot of NGOs in Eastern Europe and in Europe in terms of like fighting for pro-democracy and pro-human rights. And we do a lot of sense making and sort of like building collaborations and coalitions between these actors. And I do see the need for more technology in terms of how do these people make sense of what's going on. I'm less excited about using AI as like a coordination thing or build something like that, but more sort of excited around this sense making bit. And then another thing that I'm doing is I'm co-creating a card game called Who Cards, which is all about starting conversations on the level of who are you as opposed to what you can achieve or what you do or where you're from. And we've been, experimenting with this card game for the last 8 years, looking into what happens to emergent collaboration and co-creation when you start with the who. And our findings are quite remarkable in terms of like the depth and in terms of the viability of collaborations happening much better when we start on a human-to-human level. So I'm a researcher of that, and we have a platform, a card game that's available, and I'm just curiously here without expectation to see how that can contribute this effort, and or what can I learn here to use that tool more of also a sense making tool for what's happening with humans and their stories across the road, and how can we mirror and realize that we're all in this together and create that experience for people to find agency. I guess that's me here with a white blank sheet and with curiosity. Yeah. Thanks.
Amazing. Eric Miki?
I'm in Vietnam at Proof of Retreat, which is what you could call a pop-up city. And we've been working on making some sort of AI infrastructure for everyone to work on the same framework, but still be able to develop whatever they want. I work with many small groups, and the question of like how to work together with AI comes back all the time. So yeah, coordination with AI is an unsolved problem. That's what I'm interested in.
Cool. And Simon Q? I don't know.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yes.
Hello, hello.
If you can
Um,
say a few words, how are you? How do you relate to the topic of AI for collaboration, for collective sense making?
it's very, very interesting. I'm very passionate about. Involved in recent initiatives around building network organizations. And yeah, on that front, collaboration, coordination, and coherence are all very, very important topics. I believe that AI, as it is manifested today, as it is trained today, and
Simon, sorry to interrupt. Your sound is a bit
Yeah, your
not
sound
clear.
is quite muffled.
It's really hard to understand. Yeah, not easy to understand everything you say. Maybe you get closer.
No, that should be better. Is that better?
Yes. No. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I just switched the speaker to my phone. My headphones are not so great, at
Yeah,
least
so we're
today.
clear now.
Although you guys have gone quiet. Yeah, turn you up. So, yes, I think that the way that we interact with AI and the way that we train AI needs to change. I think that the only way that we get to a super intelligence is through collective intelligence. I think all intelligence is collective intelligence, and I think intelligence is expressed through networks. Our mind is a network. The way we interact with people is networks on networks on networks. And the more we're able to see this, visualize this, and make these networks functional using our technology, the more efficacy we have in constructing, building, imagining, and creating the world that we want to see. So yes, I'm very excited about this initiative and how AI can be used to help us to coordinate, and how we can train AI in different ways to give birth to something that really is representative of the human spirit.
Beautiful. So yeah, I think we are all here looking at these questions from different but similar angles. And what interests you in this set of ideas, and what are you working on? Maybe you can go first, Noak, if you need to go soon.
Absolutely, yeah. We've talked about this before, and I'm really passionately interested in these ideas. I'm building some of them myself. I'd like to, and I don't like to compete as much as collaborate. So whatever we can do to fuse and meld, that's what I'm interested in. And I like the fact that you want to infuse AI and coherence into multiple apps wherever possible. I'm building one that's called Chain Crew, and I'd love to have coherence built into that, or have Chain Crew be one of the foundational aspects of coherence, whatever that might look like. I don't know, but there's definitely a an aspect of creating pop-up societies, pop-up networks, pop-up startups, whatever it may be, on this platform. And whenever that happens, you need to facilitate the process of forming, storming, norming, and sense making, which I guess is a better word for it. So that needs to be facilitated. Generally speaking, I need it to be facilitated on my platform. Maybe my platform can help facilitate that for Coherence. So that's why I'm here.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely excited to play. And also, I think we share a vision of a plug and play ecosystem of things. So let's have a call and explore that. Cool. And Zach?
Hi, Victor. And is it Noak? Great. Nice to meet you guys. And I'm joined here by Julian, who's we call ourselves co-partners in creation instead of co-founders. I'm here because I also feel the call to help all of us coordinate and collaborate better. And so we're also involved with the Convergence initiative to bring peer-to-peer protocols to be more used as a base layer, which then I believe will enable us to have better AI coordination. And we say too, like AI human augmented coordination, to not just like giving the power to the AI to hope it can do its best, but how can we also intentionally bring in the human element as much as possible? So yeah, any collaboration or ideas on how we can collaborate, we're definitely open to seeing. And our project name here is called Synchro Labs, which we see as a lab for synchronicities.
Amazing.
So
where's here, out of curiosity?
So I'm from the US, but I'm living abroad right now. I'm in Brazil.
Nice.
And Julian, if you want to say hi and where you're at too. Julian is in Uruguay.
Hello, I'm from Uruguay. My English is so sorry. And we are partners, yes, and co-creation for Synchro Labs. Synchro Labs born like a vision to expand the synchronicity. When we work on ecosystems and the synchronicity that sports. Now it's a platform more, it's a connective, how do you say it?
Yeah, like connective. We see our effort more as connective tissue instead of trying to create a new protocol or a new platform.
Yes.
So our view is, and this goes back to the Convergence peer-to-peer protocol initiative, is how can we be agnostic while still supporting communities to onboard to protocols that serve them, but remain interoperable with other communities.
Brilliant, beautiful. Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing seeing AI come into the picture. So one of my first ventures was trying to work with voting systems and actually pretty much delegative voting systems originally. So seeing AI and the ability to actually scale and I've shared some ideas with you in just the past week, a little bit around the collaboration potential to actually pull together disparate ideas, sum them up so that we could actually collaborate. It's not just me talking or you talking, but us putting the ideas together in a chat and actually having them combined. I could imagine that working amazingly for events and everything like that. But yeah, so I definitely think I haven't seen any collaborative AIs come out so far. Like you said, it's all been individual tools so far.
Christine?
Hey. Yeah, so I'm currently working on a couple of projects. One of them is a future of work, decentralized workplace project based in San Francisco, using different models, governance models, profit sharing, like distribution, attribution, contribution, tracking, and looking at multi-capital accounting. That's sort of the lens that I'm looking at this point on a work level. But also I am working with Victor to start up the Coherence Company. So we have a little team and attracting people who are interested on different levels to contribute or guide, advise, or help actually make sales or actually do some of that action work as well. Yeah, that's a short little intro.
Thank you. And you, Keenan?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to say that I was speaking with Christine the other day that I love the word coherence, and I've been contemplating for some time how to increase my own coherence and some of my. That's one way to put an umbrella on my work, and how technology can actually be used to increase coherence. And I seem to define right now coherence as integrity of mind, body, and heart or spirit, but also the macrocosm, and each one of us being a microcosm of the universe or a fractal of the universe. So I've been really contemplating and using different technologies on how to increase coherence in that way. And another frame for the work that I'm developing perhaps falls under the umbrella of an alchemical startup incubator or technology incubator. That's sort of the vision that I'm trying to see how it looks in 3 dimensions. And it's not something that's new. It seems to have happened in different iterations. And there are case studies. One of my recent works is to find case studies historically in different cultures and civilizations where what we're trying to do now, what Victor, you're alluding to in terms of AI and technology, has happened before in different ways, of course. And yeah, I'm very curious about that. And I'm actually seeking collaboration because I know that I don't have the answers, but it's very something very creatively active for me to give it shape, which can only happen through collaboration.
Beautiful. And you, Ankita?
There we go. Off mute. Great. Hi. I have a background in the built environment, so I have been an architect for a really long time. What I do right now is kind of work in what is called experiential design, so kind of understanding the building, how people use it, how people interact with it. My area of interest outside of general land regeneration and things of that sort is understanding how buildings and human beings can start to talk to each other, thereby increasing energy efficiency, looking at that on a city scale. So these are some topics that always interest me. I enjoy reading about it, experimenting with it in my tiny scale of work. Yeah.
Beautiful. And we have some people off camera. I don't know if you're up for saying hello. Akil?
Hey, Victor. Hey, everyone. Can you tell me the exact prompt, Victor? What are we speaking to?
So I gave the kind of general framing. Akil and I have talked before, so but I just gave the general framing of we're talking about poly-meta meaning crisis, AI, and how it all ties together. So the invitation is for you to say hello and say a few words about your work.
Cool, cool. I'll just come off camera. Just gotten out of bed, so sorry if I look like a mess. I'm usually based out of Toronto, but I'm in India at home at the moment. I've had a pretty zigzag journey, but like for the latest iteration, I've been working on climate change for the last 8, 9 years, and then a couple of years ago, I realized that that wasn't cutting it, and the problem goes far deeper. Just the
I was going
poly
to say,
meta.
good job working on the climate. It keeps on changing.
Thank you. You're welcome. Um, so yeah, a couple of years ago, I decided to try and more directly work on the meta crisis. So I've been writing about it, running some events, trying to start up some communities, to start some projects around it in Toronto. And lately, I'm coming to the realization that probably political organizing uh, might be needed. So I'm wondering what to do about that. And the communities that I've been trying to start up suffer from all the same problems that gaming suffers from. So we keep having all kinds of ego clashes. We don't know how to organize outside of hierarchy. So I'm very interested in seeing how we can use some of these tools and help build a new culture around that.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Yoshi, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Yes, just turning on the lights again because it's 9 p.m. here in Ecuador. Saying hello here to the Coherence movement. I connected with Victor a few years ago, and I've been seeing the growth of the gathering, which is the festival, and also the Coherence Company. For me, coherence is a big, really important word in our existence, as it's part of our principles as well. Coherence for me is similar to our other brother just shared. It's the coherence of the imagination, the thought, the word, the action of the self, and also the coherence of the connection to the land, the service to the land, in service to humanity, in service to the cosmos. So if my decision and action is aligned with all of that, from myself to living in the earth, being of service to it, in my body and my spirit, that's a coherence. Now tying that into community, into AI, how to use all this and still be coherent without destroying or affecting our consciousness or our awareness of our existence through technology, because we can easily let ourselves be driven by this technology and losing our power and all this. How can we live coherent in service to life and earth and our spirit using technology, and understanding that everything is consciousness, and what type of consciousness in the realm of our existence does AI have? Because if we are aware how consciousness works in the field of this existence, the rocks have consciousness, the animals have different forms of consciousness, we do, and technology also does in some way. So how to be more aware and connected to our actions through the coherence awareness of this company using AI. And this is I'm very curious about the way I'm doing it is I'm a community builder. So how, as a community builder, can we help regenerate Earth and life using AI? And now bringing different leaders together from different areas of our actions or movements or projects is key, in a new way, not hierarchical way only. And not that hierarchy is bad, but we have really got sideways on that. So I'm so into opening up our minds, our hearts, and learning, experimenting how to move forward as a great humanity that is in service to each other and to all life. Thank you for listening and letting me express this, because it was hard to put it in words. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. What I wanted to share next is this idea that we're working on, of that there is something called the Coherence Journey. And I am primarily, and we're primarily, I think this happens in any environment, but I'm looking at it primarily through the lens of somebody who organizes events. I think networks and other things function similarly. So there is this journey that we move through from finding out who is in the field, meeting people, to actually building and shared action. You can think of it, if you think of it in a classical sense, you know, discover is you're standing in the line for the toilet at the conference somewhere and you start talking to a person and they're interesting and you have a conversation. And then sometime in the future, you're starting a company or you're building a project across your companies. And very much as Alejandra pointed out, this space, once you get to the point of we're ready to do a project together, we've started a company or we've signed a contract, there is a whole universe of people ready to help you, incubators, accelerators, a whole world supporting you once you've started on the journey. But I really see this journey from we just met to we actually found something to do to we've moved into to getting to shared action. This journey is very thinly scaffolded. Events do a degree of discovery, maybe connection, you know, they try, though overall it's mostly serendipity. But then going from I've met an interesting person, we would like to do something together, how we actually get to we found out what we want to do or we can realistically do. We've created the structure, we've created the agreements. This part of the journey is really, it's very thinly scaffolded. And unless you are a professional salesperson and it's your job and you have a framework, or unless you're just generally gifted in this, a huge amount of potential for collaboration, I think, dies in these early stages, because it's not supported. And you go to a conference, you meet 20 people, what's the chance that you'll remember all of them and actually be able to follow up? And this is the kind of thing, remembering long lists of things and helping you get through it is the kinds of things computers are really good at. So I really see the potential of creating augmentation and creating systems which help us walk through this. And I think AI is great because it enables a much more humanistic interface to the machine than just creating a platform or something like that. So if you think about it, you know, there is a lot of depth to each stage, right? There is what kind of questions you're holding. I'd love to talk with you, Tamas, to get to learn from your learnings about the questions. And I think like this, who you are is really important for discovery and connection. And for each of these steps, there is all kinds of existing experiences and tools that happen in the world. So, you know, this is a start of an inquiry. And the invitation, and this is the hope of the community of practice, that we explore together and share what kind of experiences and tools, workshop formats, experience formats does each of us have that can help at different stages of the journey. At a high level, the proposal is that as people who are building collaborations, it's useful for us to have this a shared vocabulary, that there are stages, that different kinds of workshops and experiences are relevant at different stages, right? And if people have never met each other, doing workshops around building collaboration is too early. On the other hand, if you're stuck in discover or discover connect mode forever, well, people start getting bored because, well, they actually want to move to action. So that's the invitation to create a shared vocabulary and a shared library of tools and experiences and techniques of how to move a group, a field of people through these steps. Also, what for me, the key thing about coherence is it's about building islands of coherence. So it's not getting everybody to collaborate with everybody and create some kind of averaged out alignment, as you always do if you have a big group of divergent ideas. Rather, it's creating the conditions where everybody can find some people that they can work with and collaborate. So that's the idea. Any thoughts, reflections on this? Or has anybody worked with some kind of a framework along these lines?
I think it kind of overlaps a little bit with the process of building a business, for example, that you have to come up with the idea and do the market research and then see your competitors, etc. This is more like the human side and it's a bit previous, but for example, in the seed and grow, I think it kind of overlaps with it. So yeah, just a thought.
Tamas, I saw you pop in and out. Were you going to say something?
Sorry, what did you say?
Ah.
I will unmute. I was going to type it, but then I can say it now because I arrived. So what you're saying reminds me of an initiative called Planeteer. I think you might know the founder, Yosha.
Yeah, I know Planeteer, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, like I'm curious because that's a reference point for me, and I'm curious what do you imagine? How is that different from Planeteer?
So the idea here, the idea of the Coherence Journey is to create a general framework that everybody can use for designing the flow of people through their system. So, I mean, from what I understand, the software that they're designing is, I think, primarily around discover and connect steps right now. I think in the long run, they are also looking at others, but I don't know how they've developed it. But the idea is that if we have a shared vocabulary, it will help all of us developing different tools. In terms of the Coherence Company itself, I will talk about that after, how it relates to all of these platform builders, because there is so many people building platforms. I literally every other week talk to one more person that's building a platform. There's an explosion of them happening in the world. No other questions or reflections? Okay. So I will talk about then about the Coherence Company. So the startup that we're proposing to build around these ideas. So the goal of the Coherence Company is to bring tools and the services for all of the steps of the coherence journey to come into the world. As I said, the discover and connect, there is a fair bit in the world, but actually creating a directionality and taking people through the whole journey, there is definitely a need for that. Also, with the opportunities that AI offers, there is a huge new world of what is possible. And I think it's really important, as somebody mentioned, how we train the AI and how we shape it is going to shape the future of humanity. So it's important that we work on that. So with the Coherence Company, we have an MVP idea. This is something that we've been working on for a year. 1 year ago, we did a test with kind of no-code tools of this idea of coherence conversations. So our MVP is Coherence Conversations, which is, you can think of it as a new kind of online event format, where rather than doing a webinar, 100 people on a Zoom call with one person talking like we are now, I'm going to do a breakout room in a second because too much of me talking. But instead, to invite people to have one-on-one conversations, which are recorded and published. This is what I've been doing myself over the last, I've been publishing since 1 year, but I've been having conversations for 3 years, and it's been really incredible. So people have one-on-one conversations, which are recorded and published, and which the AI synthesizes for collective sense making and for matchmaking. So imagine the easy use case to imagine is you're going to a conference somewhere, there will be hundreds of people there, maybe thousands. How do you find the people who are relevant to you? Well, with Coherence Conversations, you have 1 or 2 or 3 calls with some people that are also going there, as does everybody else. And out of this, the AI synthesizes and finds who are the people who are relevant to you. And you can have further conversations, you can meet them in person. So there's the 2 parts of it is, one is the actual conversations, and the other part is the agent AI guide that actually walks people through finding the person and having the conversation. So there is, as anybody who's organized events or done community building, herding cats, getting people, you should talk to this person. Did you talk to this person? That kind of thing is a frustrating work for community builders, but fundamentally important. And that's what the AI guide is for, to bring people through the process. So that's our MVP. And then there is the service of helping people use this. In the long run, the sky is the limit in terms of what kind of experiences we would develop. And I really see the guide as being a key part of it, and that we will build up a whole marketplace of experiences, both provided by people, provided by agents, in person, online, a rich ecosystem of experiences you can have at different stage of the coherence journey. And what we're looking at as the initial markets is, as I said, in-person conferences, pre and post engagements, doing it as standalone events, civic engagement, so municipalities, I talked to somebody, trade unions. There is many groups in the world that need better coordination. And that's who we want to support. As well as helping companies that want to become, build a AI core to download the tribal knowledge. So how the company actually operates to the organization's AI brain. So that's the vision for the Coherence Company. Any thoughts, reflections there? Also, I'm very excited in discovering and experimenting with how we can build a fully remote, distributed and global from the start company, right? Here we are joining from around the world. And many people would say like, oh, that's a disadvantage. How can you work across the world? But I would rather think of how can we use this as a superpower, the fact that we suddenly have presence in every corner of the world, or we can have presence, and to build a global organization from the start. So I'm really excited in exploring that. I think as we are seeing this year, code is becoming near free or very easy to write. But that doesn't mean that I like to think of it as code, then software, which is the code actually running somewhere in all of those realities, then product, which is actually developing something that people can use, and then business, which is actually developing a sustainable organization that thrives around us. So even though code might be becoming near free, software product, let alone business, is still very much a whole world to develop. So I'm really excited in exploring this new way of figuring out how to build a company in the modern reality. Of course, using AI at the core. How can AI support us in building an organization? So yeah, the idea is that your conversation is the easiest gateway to AI collective intelligence. Nobody wants to fill in another form, write another profile. So instead, you just have a conversation with another human being, and that's what creates your public profile and your connection for matchmaking and for synthesis. So that's what we want to build. How we're intending to build it is to go in 2 steps. First, to build because the goal is to build a regular funded startup, tech startup, which means we need a team, we need funding, we need legal, customers, all of this needs to be developed. And in my experience, this is many months of work for a few people to get a startup to be funded. And what usually happens in the current world is people work either for free or for promise to get shares in the future. It's not a well-organized process. So instead, our goal is what we're going to do is we're going to create a digital organization. You can call it a DAO, but DAOs have started meaning a particular kind of large mass, thousands of people participating digital organization. It's not that. We're creating a team-based digital organization which has tokens for tracking contribution, which then transfer into co-ownership of a funded startup. Tamas?
Yeah, my quick question is that what have you tested from? You said you've been building this for a year. Like, have you built anything like software-wise, and have you run any test prototypes or MVPs on this?
Yes. So I will share this. If you look at YouTube, where is the message window? If you look at our YouTube, last summer we ran the alpha test of coherence conversations. This was before vibe coding and all of this, so it was quite manual. Also, you're welcome to look at my personal YouTube, and I've been doing similar, effectively doing my own coherence conversations. And you see the views aren't particularly high, but that's not the point, because if even 1 or 2 people watch this conversation who weren't there, that's 1 or 2 people that benefited from knowing me, from knowing this other person. And that's a huge multiplier versus just me having a one-on-one conversation. So one way of thinking about this is our friend has called it social podcasting. So it's somewhere between just a social media post and a podcast. It's not produced like a podcast is. And it's like so it's between a social media, your regular social media post and a podcast. Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes. And I think what it leaves me with is that, because I've been researching this question a lot on how to get people into the conversation. And I think that's like what I find that that's the most difficult part, and how to get especially people conversation. And I was curious if you've tested anything around that. But I understand that you've tested more of the quality of the conversations or the conversations themselves, which you can use as data into the system. And yeah, I'm just standing with that curiosity with my question on what your thoughts around.
So I think in a key learning for me was, so a bunch of things. First of all, I really see coherence conversations, and what the Coherence Company is doing is not building a platform, but building tools for an online event. And that's why I really see what we're building as being compatible with all of the platforms out there, because a coherence conversations event can be a great onboarding event or energy engagement building for a platform. What we realized from the MVP was that herding cats, so getting people into the conversation, was a annoyingly large chunk of the work. And that's why I think the AI guide that brings people together, not just like, here's an email of another human being, you do it, but that actually handholds people to scheduling the conversation is important. And then the other thing was that actually getting the recording and the whole flow of production and posting was a whole chunk of work. So reducing that to zero effort, we're going to have our own video platform, and you talk through the platform. So really, you just need to show up. I think that is key. In terms of the quality of conversations, our idea is that these conversations happen around some particular shared purpose or topic, right? If it's a event or conference, then, why are you going to this conference, and, what do you hope to get out of it? There is a clear purpose, and as well as with the other examples. So I see it as organizing an event that has a theme, and then choosing the questions, and the interface will show people suggested questions. Choosing the questions so they support the theme is the path to having the conversations as more valuable than just general chit chat, get to know each other. What do you think, Tamas?
Yeah, makes sense. And I'm just trying to imagine, because now I'm doing a conference or forum with 160 people. And we had like 2 co-design sessions and a survey. And now I'm trying to imagine how easy it would have been just to have people to talk to each other for 50 minutes along like 3 questions, and then get AI to analyze more of the data, as opposed to putting it into designing a co-design session, designing a survey, and all of these things.
Yeah, and I think surveys are great, but who wants to fill in one more survey? But my observation has been that a conversation with another human being, when you have some degree of shared interest, is almost always good. Human beings, I mean, we're just wired for it, but human beings are just generally interesting. So I really feel that this idea of conversation with another human being as an interface to the collective intelligence is really, really powerful. Of course, there will be lots of learnings along the way and things we have to figure out, I'm sure. But I'm really excited about the idea.
Nice. I'm excited about jumping on this high line. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to be walking on that piece of rope to create more coherence in my.
Amazing. Yeah, let's have a call one-on-one and catch up and yeah, go deeper.
Happy to. Ciao.
Hamas is an amazing highliner, by the way. He does like these camps where they spend days floating in the air and things like this crazy stuff. Simon.
Yeah, I just want to briefly point to I guess it's an intuition you hold. I hold the same, and I know that when I'm speaking to somebody, depending on who it is and depending on how present they are and how engaged they are with me and how they relate to my ideas are expressed in very different ways, and sometimes, in fact, new ideas come to mind that would not have arisen if I hadn't have been speaking to that exact one person. And so, yes, context is everything, and creating more context around how we gather this information, more social context, I think is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, there is just generally an argument to be made that what humanity needs is more deep conversation in general, right? Where the current social media systems have just created the opposite of meaningful dialogue. So there is that whole strand in the world as well. We have 5 minutes left, so let me just let me summarize. The invitations here today is Coherence Company. If you're interested in playing and seeing what it'd be like to build a startup in this space, welcome to come play. The Coherence Journey, if this seems something that's interesting and you'd like to be part of the community of practice, that's the other invitation. Or if you'd just like to hang out and be generally informed, that's wonderful too.
I haven't been able to attend yet one of the gatherings, but it feels like this is energy that you learned and were able to apply now to how do we do this more.
So it's very much the same energy, except the gathering is about building it in an in-person event. And with the Coherence Company, we're looking at how to do it online and also use this power that AI has for matchmaking and sensing. It's at a scale that, was unimaginable before. I really think that, we always compare this technical revolution with the previous ones, right? Is it as big as the printing press or as the internet? I think that if we steward it right, AI has the potential to have as big an impact on humanity as language.
Me too. I'm thinking one thing we can help contribute for is propagating here in Latin America.
That would be amazing.
Our networks too.
This is something that I would love to play with, and also if we can build a good delivery service team, it can spread all different kinds of tools. I'm really inspired by the big consulting service organizations like IBM. IBM Consulting will sell you Oracle, Microsoft, whatever. right? Whatever is the right approach for you. They're completely technology agnostic. So I think it would be really great to build a service team that can deliver many, and we're in conversation with other groups that have other products in this. So that would be really cool.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Well, we're definitely going to take a deeper look at this Miro, and then we can set up some time and ask further questions or
and let's have a call. We're designing the journey. For sure, I think the community of practice you guys should be part of, because we'll bring together cool people to have these conversations. And then the company itself, yeah, let's see how we can play.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
I just had a quick question. So are you thinking about the Coherence event as kind of like a test grounds for your new collaboration tools that then once they're solid, you'll roll out to other events and everything like that?
So the gathering is, which we're organizing, and Yoshi will be organizing, I hope soon too, is a beta or alpha customer. But the goal is to, and actually building the Coherence company itself is also an alpha customer, but we're already in conversation with a bunch of other different organizations who could be interesting customers. What in the long run, what I think will be interesting is the guide. And I see as the guide as developing the capability to bring people through many different kinds of events and many different kinds of experiences, workshops, and even a marketplace of human-led, agent-led, in-person, etc. experiences that can bring people through the coherence journey. So definitely being open and interconnecting widely to build out this capability is at the goal and the heart of what we're doing. Also, I have this observation / opinion is that there's what I call the Bermuda Triangle of, on the one side, you have technologists who are all really hell-bent on building platforms and who are, the whole world will use my platform and it's all going to be so amazing. Oh, and then marketing or somebody will figure out how to get the whole world to use my platform. On the other hand, we have experienced designers, event organizers that are very good at experiences, right? Beginning, end, welcome, opening, closing, but are not really very good at understanding technology. The only people that are really good at understanding experience, journey, and technology are game designers. But game designers only know how to suck people out of the real world, not how to help them engage and do stuff. So I really see that there is this Bermuda Triangle of how do you design software to bring people into real world engagement. It's not a well-developed skill set in the world, in my opinion. So I really want to focus on that software for events which bring people together. And this is very compatible with everybody that's building platforms and so forth, because they really need onboarding, they need engagement building, and Coherence would be perfect for that. It's compatible with people organizing events because they need pre and post engagement online if it's in live. So I think I really, yeah, I mean, my goal always in life is to build things which other people aren't building, and build in a way where we can play and collaborate and connect with as many other projects and people as possible.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how you see like the people on this call starting to contribute. Will there be like games of offers, role finding, like that kind of thing? I think it's very interesting.
So like I said, we'll send you this weekend the invitation, but there is two fundamental paths. Is the kind of general one, let's build out a community of practice around the coherence journey as a open idea space of how do we do these things. And the other one is concretely around, let's build the Coherence Company startup. And there will be kind of like an onion of contribution. There will be a core team working on the core ideas, as well as an extended cloud, let's say, of contributors. I think definitely one key thing I really want to do the absolute opposite of what tech companies normally do, where some crazy tech genius goes into a hole for months or years, comes up. Rather, I want to build this in deep conversation and dialogue with the people who are potential clients, customers, and so on and so forth. So there will be a big invitation of doing customer interviews, customer research, as well as other ways of contributing to building the startup. I think because we need to figure out the different pieces, we'll be organizing workshops. So we'll be very much building in public, building in open, sharing, and having continuous invitations. But at a high level, it's good for you to 3 hours. It's good for you to think, do you want to be part of building a company or building a community of practice?
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know if
dig
there's
it.
time for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I was done. Over to you.
Yeah, well, the only reflection that comes to me is I'm trying to cohere myself with what is being shared, and my work that I'm doing right now is to actually figure out how to increase the coherence of the individual. And when I'm using technology, one aspect of that is to use different biometric sensors like continuous glucose monitoring and sleep tracking, blood pressure, so on and so forth, in a talismanic way, in an alchemical way. And then also thinking about what technology is and what iterations of technology have been historically, because this word has a Western sort of lens. And there are other indigenous civilizations and timelines where something similar has been used, but it doesn't have the same intention for the future or for the present. And I'm exploring that for perhaps some of the same ethos that the Coherence Company has, which is, what the framework would actually look like, and what would be the goal. And I'm a little skeptical of projecting AI as a steward that already knows the direction that we might want to head into. I would like to know a little bit more, discover a little bit more, and perform experiments to actually clarify if that is, in fact, a steward that we want to have as a sovereign steward, and maybe we can't have that answer without engagement. So maybe I'll stop there. But a lot of my contemplation and figuring out what are the experiments to define technology, how can we define the coherence for a human, and then what experiments do we do with technology that can show us that the coherence has in fact increased in the direction that we want it to increase. And as I said, what I'm interested in is, or excited about, is that this is not the first time that this is happening. It's happened many times. So it's important to look at what's happened before.
Yeah. So, by the way, are you familiar with the idea of psychotechnology? John Vervaeke is one of my key influences, and he talks about the idea of psychotechnology, which is ritual, religion, even language, right? So technology, oftentimes when people say technology, they think steam or rocks or even fire, but actually, if you extend it to include psychotechnologies, it's much bigger than that.